I was crying in the dark, thinking no one could hear me, until his hand touched my back. My stepson saw through my silence, through the tears I tried to hide. I couldn't sleep, so I knocked on his door. And what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about love, need and desire. Please don't forget to subscribe. I never imagined my emotions would lead me to a place like this. I had always thought I had things under control. My life, my feelings, even my loneliness. But some moments crack the shell we build around ourselves, and that night was one of them. I had been crying quietly in my room, buried beneath the weight of a marriage that felt like a distant memory. My husband had passed away 2 years ago, but the ache never left. It had settled in my chest, a dull heaviness that throbbed in the quiet of night. What I didn't expect was that someone else in the house would understand, someone I had never truly noticed in this way until that night. My stepson. Dom Parker had been living with me for a few months since he returned from college. He was in his mid-20s, mature beyond his age, and carried the calm confidence of a man who had seen more than most his age. I always saw him as my husband's son, nothing more. But when you're lost in grief and a gentle hand touches your back, when your skin feels alive for the first time in years, your mind forgets the rules it was once so determined to follow. That night started like any other. I tried to sleep but couldn't. The room felt too cold, the bed too empty. I curled up and let the tears fall. I wasn't sobbing, just quiet, lonely drops that soaked into the pillow. I didn't hear Dom approach. The door was slightly open, and I guess the soft sounds of my crying must have drawn him. I felt his hand on my back, warm and slow. My breath caught in my throat. "Are you okay, Laura?" he asked, his voice a deep whisper that felt like it was meant just for me. I didn't turn to face him. I didn't want him to see my red eyes or the way my lips trembled. But I nodded. "Just one of those nights," I whispered back. He sat on the edge of the bed, close enough that I could feel the warmth of his presence. I still didn't look at him. "I get it," he said softly. "I miss him too." That broke something inside me. Because it wasn't just about missing someone. It was about feeling unseen, untouched, unheard. It was about feeling like a ghost in my own home. "I just feel like no one understands," I murmured. His fingers lightly moved in small circles on my back, comforting without crossing any boundaries. "I understand more than you think," he said. Something about the way he said it made me finally turn to him. Our eyes met. His were intense, blue like the sky after rain, and they held something I hadn't seen in a long time. Compassion, presence, a kind of quiet protectiveness that made me feel safe and exposed all at once. We sat there in silence for a few minutes. He didn't say anything else. He didn't have to. Eventually, he stood. "Try to get some rest," he said, giving my shoulder a squeeze before leaving the room. But sleep never came. I lay there, replaying his words, the feel of his hand, the look in his eyes. Something inside me had awakened, something I'd buried so deep I almost didn't recognize it, desire. Not just for touch, but for connection. And I knew it wasn't just grief stirring it. It was him. Dom. The way he looked at me. The way he saw me. I wrapped myself in a robe and walked quietly down the hall. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I just knocked. His door creaked open a second later, and there he was, shirtless, his hair tousled like he'd just laid down. His expression was surprised, but not shocked. "Laura," he said, voice low. "I couldn't sleep," I said, not knowing what I was doing or saying anymore. He stepped aside. "Come in." The room was dimly lit from a small lamp on his desk. It smelled like his cologne, fresh, masculine, grounding. I sat on the edge of his bed, feeling awkward for the first time in a long time. "I didn't mean to bother you. I didn't want to be alone," I admitted. "You're not bothering me," he said, sitting beside me. We sat there, not touching, not speaking. But everything felt loud. My heartbeat, the air between us, the unspoken tension curling like smoke. "I miss being held," I said suddenly, my voice barely above a whisper. Dom turned toward me. "I can hold you if that's what you need." My chest rose slowly as I took a breath. "It is." He pulled me into his arms, wrapping them around me gently but securely. I closed my eyes against his shoulder and let myself breathe him in. He was warm, solid. His hand moved slowly along my spine. My fingers curled slightly into his chest as I let the safety of that moment wash over me. And then, something changed. His hand paused. My breathing deepened. We both became aware of how close we were, of how long it had been since either of us had let ourselves feel like this. He didn't kiss me. He didn't even move closer. But he looked at me with a silent question in his eyes. I didn't answer with words. I leaned in, pressing my forehead gently against his. Our breaths mingled. And I felt it, his restraint, his awareness of everything this moment meant. This feels wrong, I whispered, though I wasn't pulling away. It doesn't, he whispered back. It feels like something we both needed. We stayed like that for a long time. His arms around me. My body against his. Nothing rushed, nothing reckless. Just tension, emotion, and this magnetic energy pulling us closer. Eventually, I laid beside him, still in my robe, still fully clothed. He pulled the blanket over us and wrapped his arm around me from behind, holding me like something fragile. We didn't speak. I think we were both afraid to break whatever spell had formed. I woke up hours later, sunlight peeking through the curtains. His arms were still around me. His breathing slow and even. For the first time in a long time, I didn't wake up with a weight in my chest. Over the next few days, things were different. We avoided each other in the morning, unsure of what the night meant. But by evening, we found ourselves closer again, talking more, laughing, cooking dinner together. It was like we were circling around something we both felt but were afraid to name. Then one night, it happened again. This time, he came to my room. He knocked softly, and when I opened the door, he looked like he had spent hours deciding whether he should. I couldn't stop thinking about that night, he said. Me neither. He stepped inside, and I closed the door behind him. We sat at the edge of the bed again. Silence. Breath. I don't want to ruin anything, he said. You haven't. I care about you, Laura. Not just because you were married to my dad. Not because we're under the same roof. But because I see you. I want you to feel alive again. I reached out, touched his face, my thumb gently tracing the line of his jaw. You already made me feel that way. We leaned into each other, lips brushing, hearts racing. The kiss was soft, hesitant at first, like testing the surface of something too hot to dive into. But it deepened slowly, filled with longing and a tenderness I hadn't known in years. It was the kind of kiss that made time slow down. No hunger, just heat. No demands, just devotion. We stopped before things could go further, both of us breathless, both aware of the line we were treading. But from that night on, everything changed. We never defined what we were. We didn't need to. What we shared was healing, intimate, and real. It was built on vulnerability and respect. It was unspoken care, gentle touches in the kitchen, lingering glances across the room, quiet nights spent in each other's arms. Sometimes, love doesn't arrive the way we expect it. Sometimes, it finds us in our weakest moments, through the hands of someone who shouldn't know how to save us, but somehow does. Dom gave me something no one else could in those lonely months, a reason to feel again. And I, in turn, gave him the space to be more than a son grieving his father. We became each other's quiet sanctuary. Not just out of loss, but out of something deeper, trust, need, a love that bloomed not in daylight, but in the tender silence of sleepless nights. And I never looked back. Please don't forget to subscribe for more interesting and top stories. Always keep smile.